Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Clutter Talk Live, the show brought to you by Scotland's charity Clutter Chat. And we are really excited, or I'm really excited today about having guest Shelina Jokhiya all the way from the United Arab Emirates joining us in our Zoom living room. And the us this week is Elaine and myself. So we have apologies from Clara, who can't be with us today. But I shall bring Elaine in now and hope she can unmute herself. Hey! Hello, Elaine.
Hi, Zem.
How are you? I'm overexcited as always. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, what about yourself? How are you today?
Well, overexcited. I did Pilates this morning, which was nice. And it's raining. It is like properly raining, and we have promise of hail later in the week. So that's us here, really. Nothing
Yeah,
more to add. What about you?
yeah. Glasgow is, yeah, smur, as we say. Smur, you
What
know,
does that mean?
it's smur, smur. Smur is kind of like, it's kind of cold, damp rain, isn't it? I think that's what it means, but that's what I would call it, smur.
Dreek. I go dreek.
Not dreek, dreich and
Dreek.
smur. Uh-huh. And smur. Yeah, not such a nice day today, but make the most of it. Get your waterproofs on and out for your daily mile, and get
Yes,
some air.
mom. Yes, mom.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Motivational coach Elaine McKinley of Clear Mountain Decluttering.
That's me. That's me. But yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. Make the most of these days because obviously, through the winter, a lot of people have SAD, SAD syndrome, which is seasonal affective disorder, and so we have to make the most of these days to get out and get our, bit of light from no matter what sort of temperatures and that is, but just get out there and get some vitamin D.
And so, seriously, what would be your sort of top tips for how, if people are suffering from the sort of the March blues,
Mhm.
what are some sort of things that they could do now?
Well, I mean, I think just now the sort of good thing is that we're seeing the bulbs coming out, which is always a great sign. The snowdrops are out, the little crocuses and that are popping up. So I think that always helps, when you're out in nature. And there's scientific research which shows that when you are out walking in nature, that your brain, when you're walking past trees and the softness of the nature and the environment actually helps your brain and your well-being. So no matter what area you live in, you can always pass a bit of green grass usually, or a tree or something like that. So the smells, we've got sensory aspects to that. Obviously the light, when it's duller, we do feel a bit more down or depressed. But if we go out and we start walking, we're pumping the blood through our system. There's different smells in the air. The birds are singing. You know, it's about making the most of nature, really.
And also, just to that, this is quite a UK. We were very UK specific in terms of our seasons there with the bulbs coming out. But last week we had Australia, which was going down into autumn and winter.
Yep.
So, and I was really excited that we had a caller in from the Cayman Islands. So, to all the viewers out there, wherever you are in the world, enjoy the fresh air and the nature as you can.
Yep. Exactly.
And be thankful you don't have hail.
Well, I mean, in Scotland, we can have 4 seasons in one day, so we just we just go with the flow. But yeah, it is important to get that fresh air, and if you can't get out, get those windows open a little bit. You know, if you need to pop on another jumper just to sit by the window, I would recommend you do that. That fresh air energizes the home, energizes you. It clears the air of stuffiness, and that's something that we often see when we go into to clients, that they've never actually got the windows open or got to the windows. And you know my story about going into a client and opening the window and the whole window.
Oh, tell it again, Elaine, tell it again.
Well, to anybody that doesn't know this story, I went into a client and she decided she would like the window open. So I leant over. Luckily, there was a bookcase in front of the window, but I leant over to open the window and the whole window frame, the whole window fell out because she hadn't opened it recently. So the fabric of the building had sort of, the window frame had all rotted away. And I was just very, very lucky that I didn't actually go out the window with the frame, but also that there was nobody below that window that we could have actually killed, you know. So, you know, this is an important point that we take to clients as well, that looking after not only what's in your home, but the fabric of your home or the building of your home is very, very important, you know. So there's a little lesson for you. So open your windows gently if you haven't opened them for a while.
Start gently, absolutely. I think always case, and for me, always start with a cup of tea. Always start with a cup of tea.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here, our homes to yours. I've not got tea. I've got sort of, I think it's a mint tea or some sort of herbal fruit tea. That's what I've got.
It matches your top anyway. You're obviously coordinated.
Thank you.
So, shall we introduce our guest for today?
Yes.
Are you ready? So we're going to do our normal thing. Elaine's going to introduce her and I'm going to fiddle with buttons and show her website. You ready?
I am.
Okay.
So at the moment you're watching Dr. Zem Moffat of Insightful Moves and Elaine McKinley of Clear Mountain Decluttering and Lifestyle Organising. And we normally have Clara Moore from Joy of Space, but she is helping with a child that's just out of hospital today. So, and we are all professional organisers and members of ABTO, the Association of Professional Declutterers and Organisers. And today we are very, very lucky to have Shelina Jokhiya from Dubai, actually, from her living room to our living room. And her company is called Declutter Me. And Shelina is a specialist in wardrobe and walk-in closet decluttering and moving services. So we're going to hopefully have a lovely chat with her. And as I said, she is a member of ABTO too, so one of our ABTO colleagues. But it'll be really nice to talk to her because she's again on another side of the world. So Shelina, hopefully you are, there she is. Hello.
Yes, hello. Hi.
Thanks for zooming into our living room.
Hello, Shelina.
I know, isn't it? And it's getting dark right now, so it's like the sun. It'll start getting darker and darker while you're talking to me. Sorry.
Right. Okay.
Don't apologise at all. Now, what I didn't say before is that we have we're going live on Facebook. So whoever's watching it, we're live on Facebook, and you can message in any questions to Elaine, myself, or Shelina. So please do that, and Elaine will keep a good look on the questions, any questions coming in. We obviously have some to start with, but I think so. Shelina and I actually met each other a few years ago, a couple of times at an ABTO conference. That's the Association of Professional Declutterers and Organisers, and we can't quite remember what we spoke about, but we just remember we spoke very animatedly for quite a long time. And so
it was a long time, wasn't it?
It was very enjoyable.
I remember that.
You remember feelings, don't you?
Yes.
So what I can promise viewers is warm feelings. Whether what we say is going to be anything useful, hopefully it will be, but we'll try our best, won't we, ladies?
We'll try our best.
So let's start with an initial question. Shelina, what got you into decluttering?
So I've always been like this, like a lot of organisers, most probably. I was practically born like this. Which my parents can vouch for. And yeah, since I was a kid, I'm a big Madonna fan, which I tell everybody who will listen, and hopefully she'll listen one day. And I used to collect, like all the CDs and the cassettes and any clippings from magazines. I used to collect all the magazines and clippings and newspapers. It's all organized. It still exists. It's all in files, dated, all chronological. I am one of those. So it's always been in me. And And then I just kept on doing it all the time. And then I dreamt about doing it while I was in England before I moved to Dubai with a friend. And that was around the same time that Apto actually started. So if I'd only thought, yeah, let's do it, I could have been an Apto member early. But anyway, continued being a lawyer, moved here, did it for years, got fed up, and then went, I remember an idea. There was something I wanted to do. And then I Googled it and I found out that Apto exists and NAPO in America. And I was like, there's no one doing it here. Let me do it. So that's it. So I started nearly 8 years ago. So
Nearly 8 years ago. And are there many other professional organisers in Dubai or in the UAE?
there is quite a lot. And especially there's been, I think about 5 or 6 have started in the last year. So I think it's a mixture of COVID, losing jobs, and because of like Marie Kondo and the home edit, people are now like, I've done a kitchen cupboard, I can organize a thing. So there's a lot of that. But yeah, you know.
And so you've worked in both the UK and in the UAE, or have you worked in other countries as well?
No, I've been to other countries for work, but yeah, no, just these two.
So can you say, are there any major differences, or is it fairly similar, or is every job, as we say, totally different?
No, here it's very culturally different. It's the minority, the locals or the nationals of the country are the minority. The majority are, expats. I think Brits are the 3rd or 4th biggest expats in the country. Like
Wow.
That's why all the celebs come here, because it's like Little Britain. But
or not.
we don't like them. We don't like them. But yeah, so sorry. But yeah, so it's a cultural melting pot. It's akin to London, but without the London banter a lot of the time. So people don't get sarcasm. It's whereas if when you're in London, everybody has to learn how to be London. Dubai, it's like everybody sticks to their own cultural behaviors. So it's great, but it can be it's a big learning curve. I've been here for 16 years, so I'm used to it now. So working is different. Even when I was working corporate was different. But as an organizer, like talking to you guys, when I go to the conference, what you guys face and what I face are completely different situations. Not completely, but there's a lot of different situations that
Can you give us some examples?
Put it this way, one day I was unpacking, there was a big cardboard moving box of Cartier boxes and Harry Winston, and I had to open each box to check there was no jewelry in it or watches, and then we put those boxes in recycling because they didn't need all those boxes. So that's the kind of absurd things I do sometimes. It's not often, but there are absurd things, and I do apologize, my cats are running around like maniacs, so sorry. I don't know why.
That's fine. On our shows, we often have dogs jumping over Clara, or different things happening. It's lovely.
Yeah, he's a maniac right now. I don't know. It's really weird. It's not like this normally. Not at this time.
What time
anyway.
is it with you, Shelina? What time is it with you?
It's 6:15 right now. So we're 4 hours.
So it's maybe that tea time crazy hour. Yeah.
I fed him to make sure they stop it. I thought there'd be a quiet and asleep now. Anyway.
Cool.
So we all know. Go on, Elaine. You go.
No, so what I was just going to say is, what I think we were talking about before we came on air was, the different types of housing and spaces that people live in Dubai, and different here and different even in England for us. Yeah. So, can you give us a little insight about what you go into to help people with? What sort of projects do you help people with?
Well, mostly for me, my big thing is kitchens and wardrobes and closets. So I do a lot of them. It's a mixture of apartments or villas, but some people have apartments, but they've made a whole room into a walk-in closet. That's a big thing now. So you get a 2-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom apartment and make it into a closet. And then villas, a lot of people, I work with a lot of locals, so the Emiratis. So they have big villas. A lot of them are building new villas as well or renovating. So they're getting new closets in or new kitchens. So that's great. So I get to tell them, you know, what is good to be in the wardrobes or not. You know, there's certain things they see on Pinterest or on TV, and I'm like, they're the worst things ever. Like, you know, there's the trouser rails you get. They don't hold the trousers, they just fall off. Like, why do people get them? And tie holding thing, it's there's just lots of nonsense out there. So a lot of people don't ask for my help before, so they build it and then I come in and go, yeah, this is not going to help. So that's a lot of the stuff that I deal with. So it's big houses or big apartments. Sometimes it's smaller stuff. So there is sometimes, you know, somebody's moved into a 1-bedroom apartment, because lots of people move here because the rent changes and there's so many different places to live. There's so much housing right now and not enough people. So the rents have gone down a lot. So people are moving a lot. So, but space is optimal. We always joke and say, we think a man built these apartments, or designed these apartments, because there's never enough wardrobe space and there's never enough kitchen space. So then I have to work to figure out how to fit all of their stuff. So that's the big things. And then we have bigger furniture. So like we were talking before, like sofas, when people are moving back to their home country, unless you're going back to, I don't know, Canada or America, if you're going back to England or Scotland, you're not going to be able to fit the big sofas that we can get here. You know, even the IKEA sofas, like what they make in IKEA around the world is different for different countries. So certain things won't fit through the door. Like, you know, we have people, we have handymen, we have cheap labor that we, you know, like men, we can pay them like £10 and they'll dismantle and do everything and put it back for us. That would cost like £100, right? In at home to do. So it just, you know, it doesn't translate properly. So don't take your big stuff back home.
I remember my sister, she'd got a nice flat in Edinburgh and she decided she wanted a settee, but she wanted this settee, but it wouldn't fit through the door, so she had to pay like return charge for it. And I could have told her, but she really wanted this big comfy settee. And it was just like, nah, sis, that's anyway. She had to pay the return charge. But I think often that people's brains, there's some brains that can see a space and an object and they can get the relationship. They can, and I think for many declutterers, like, we get that relationship. So I can look at somewhere, I can go into a room and see, and people are like, there's no space. And I'm like, actually, if you tidy it up this way, or that will fit in here, and I can make space without removing anything. Like, and because you can fit. And so I think I'd be pretty confident if I was moving country. I'd be able to, if I could visualize the space, if I, you know, had a video tour of where I was going, then I'd be able to go, yeah, that would fit and that wouldn't. But I think brains are very different. I think some brains, they just can't, they just have a very different sense of relative space.
Yeah, no, it's true. And my brain's the same. I always say to people, like, they send me videos or pictures of their space, so I don't go to their house for consultation. They just send it to me. But in lots of the houses, the layout's actually, even though it's a different color or a different whatever, it's actually the same layout. It's just different colors. So I can figure out straight away what will fit and what won't, and what, depending on what the family or the people, the client are, like if they're British or Arab or Indian or, you know, whatever. So they have different kinds of food in the kitchen, and I can figure out what will fit into those cupboards straight away and what they'll need. So yeah, I see what it should be, not what it is currently. And people freak out about that because I can see straight away, like, yeah, this needs this, I need to do this, and that is all rubbish. So yeah, I think that's how a lot of us work, isn't it?
It's obvious to us. It's obvious. Like, we can go into a space and go, yeah, well, obviously. And they're like, no, it's not obvious. And it's like, okay, it's not obvious, but let's try it. And it works.
But I think because, I mean, the majority of my clients are all creative in some way. They might not realize it's creative, but they might be accountants or lawyers or whatever, but they have more creativity in their brains and I have less. So I pay people to do that for me. So to do my social media or to do my marketing, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not that kind of, you know, our brains work differently for each person. So I think people don't realize that that's a big thing here, that I have to explain to people that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just your brain works differently from how our brain works. That's why we do what we do.
Exactly.
Amen to that. I think that's absolutely the right thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with any of us. It's just our brains and how we function is very different.
Yeah, and our spatial awareness is different. So somebody might, as you said, your sister might think, oh, that's actually going to fit in there properly. But our perception on that is absolutely, there is no way that is going to fit in that corner. Or I was working with someone, we're packing up a client's house at the moment, and we had to fit things into a box. Now, she's an artist, so we had to fit specific things into this box. Yeah. And she was walking about with this box saying, I don't know which box they'll fit in. And I said, no, it's okay. It will fit into this box if we turn it this way. And she's like, oh, yeah. I said, it's a bit like the Krypton factor, when you're putting a puzzle together and you just need to look at it with a different set of eyes. And I think sometimes, we talk about to people, take some time to take some photographs of your room or something like that and look at it through a different lens, and maybe you'll understand it a little bit better. So I get where you're coming from there, and people don't understand that we can go in and go, I can see this room cleared, or I can see this, and they go, what? And I'll go, I can see that. I can see it all.
I always do before and after pictures or videos. And it's all obviously for social media, but it's a lot for them. So I send it to them afterwards and go, see, this is what it was before, and this is what it is now. Keep it like this, or build the habit to this. But also it's to sort of inspire them that it is possible, and they helped me to do it, so they can feel better about themselves as well. Because that's the end. That's what we want them to feel like, right? To get that mountain off. The spatial awareness it is a problem. But I mean, here we're so spoiled because we can get things dismantled easily, or it can fit in. But at home, I don't know how people can, like, I see the DSF adverts every so often and go, do they still sell those sofas? Are they always on sale still? But like, where will fit those sofas in? Like, maybe in the country villas in Kent, like, the houses not near my parents' house, but normal houses, like terraces, the doors are like, they're still narrow, right? They haven't changed anything at home, right? No,
that's right, because you grew up in Kent, didn't you? And your parents, so you have a foot in both camps.
Yes, I'm a proper Kent girl, so let's not talk about Kent right now.
Even though you sound slightly Australian.
Yeah,
we're not sure where this comes from, guys. We don't know where it comes from. Shelina doesn't know. I've asked.
Nobody knows. I've been asked since I think it was university. It was the first. My lecturer at university was Australian and asked me, and I went, "What are you talking about? I'm very, very British. I'm Kent/London girl. Stop it." But I think it's neighbours, and because my name is close to Sheila, so people just
Sheila. You would have got on well with Tanya last week. You would have got on well with Tanya.
Oh, really? I did watch it. It was quite cool. Yeah. I love what people play.
So, ladies, we have Tilo is watching us at the moment, the lovely Tilo Flocker, who was in our first episode, and he says hello. And for everyone who doesn't know, but on Shelina's website, she does a wonderful podcast. And Tilo is interviewed on one of her podcasts and talking about the man issue, which is interesting because we're not actually going to talk about it because this is International Women's Week. So this is the show to big up the women. But it's really interesting to me how so many declutterers, and we've spoken about it before, are women. So in our association, the UK APTO, I'll show you the website in a bit, but they did some research, and 97 or 93%, it dropped to 93% of us are women. And that's just it's just one kind of wise, and also majority of us are 45 to 54 years old, apparently. So I'm a little bit young then. I'm just going to big that up. Sorry, Elaine.
A little bit older than that, so that's okay.
And Clara's in the middle.
I'm getting close.
You're getting close. Hey.
Yeah, I'm getting close.
But I don't know. I wonder what your ladies' thoughts are on the female thing. And also I know that you, Shelina, are a proud member of the Dubai Business Women's Council. So how does gender play in or not? I mean,
For here, and I don't know. I mean, I've done a lot of networking here because I was corporate for so long. I didn't know, how to. It was all learning while I doing it. So I did a lot of networking, and so I joined the Business Women Council to meet other women and other entrepreneurs and business women to find out what they did, and also they have really good courses that are so helpful. But they are like it's here. Men don't understand what decluttering and organizing is. And I used to, you'd go to networking events, especially before Marie Kondo became really big. People go, what is declutter? So I had to spend many years explaining that in this region. And then I think it's just a different mentality with men about what is organizing and why can't the maid do it or why can't the wife do it. So yeah, and women feel embarrassed here about doing it themselves. They're like, they feel like they should do it themselves. So I think that's the gender issue here. There's not that many there's more business women than there was before, but it's still a male dominated region culturally and corporately. We're a few years behind here, so that's an issue as well.
And how does that play out when you are going in to maybe help a woman in her home? The husband's agreeing with that or not? Or what's the situation there?
Some don't know. So a lot of it is they just don't tell their husbands. So because if they tell their husbands, it'll be 50% of the leads that I get. They'll say, I'll tell them about it. And then they'll go, oh, I'll have to talk to my husband and I'll come back to you. Yeah. So you obviously know they're never going to book you. It's a miracle if the husband says yes. The ones that go, okay, but can you come, like the husband will leave for work at 7. Can you come then and then leave before 3 before he comes home for lunch? So we have to do things like that. And it sounds awful and shady. And I know it's been up on the APTO Facebook, our Facebook group. People have talked about that, like all parties should be involved. And I always sit there going, not with me, but this is a cultural thing. And because now decluttering and organizing is cool, but when I started, nobody knew what it was. Nobody could understand it. It wasn't an Arabic word. I think they've got an Arabic word for it now after all these years. So I do things for women, or I'll say to them, look, we'll do your closet, we'll leave his, let him see what happens in yours and what a difference it is, then we can do his, or we'll do the kitchen, which is not his domain, so I'll try and do things like that. So it's not, or if he does know, he'll go, don't touch anything of mine. So we don't. I might move shirts so it's all color coordinated.
Just because you can't resist. You're like, no, I want them in color coordinated.
Yeah. But not rainbow. It has to be white to black. I don't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah, no.
I think like what you said is kind of very moving. I think it's very moving and speaks to how for declutterers we are incredibly sensitive to all the different dynamics that are going on in a family. And I think you're absolutely right. There's no one right way of doing it. And just because we love everybody to be sort of open about being able to do it, like declutter still has a lot of shame involved, whatever culture you are. I've worked with women in this country who their partner doesn't know, but it's the safest thing to do, and it's their choice. And yes, in an ideal equal world, but we don't live in an ideal equal world. We live in where we live. And it's kind of heartening. It is hard to hear though, but it is, it is for me kind of, it's hard to hear the struggles that people go through, but also the fact that you are able to help someone in the space that they can control, in that little space, you're able to bring, and gradually that'll bring kind of more relief and peace.
Yeah, for sure.
And joy.
Is that like, and what about in Scotland? Because how is it?
Well,
there?
Elaine's been been a declutterer for a good 15 years or so now, so you've got much more perspective on it than I have.
Yeah, I think you're right, Shelina. When I started, people went, decluttering? What on earth's that? Or I would go to networking things and they'd go, are you a cleaner? And I said,
Yeah.
well,
Oh,
no.
all the time. Are you
No,
a maid?
you know, no disrespect to cleaners, but I don't clean. I organize. And then, but now it's interesting how, and through COVID actually has brought a lot of people to think, gosh, I'm looking at this space all the time because I'm working here, I'm eating here, I'm sitting all day, every day, looking at the same space. I know what decluttering means now and how it affects your brain, how a cluttered environment affects your brain and your well-being and your breathing and everything like that. So it's not the same thing. So they're starting to understand that. And certainly more frequently, I've been on some business calls, they are really coming on board with this, with businesses looking at the space that people are working in the environment that people are working in. And, you know, if you've got a cluttered home life and you're coming to work, then sometimes you're not as productive at work because you're thinking about all the things you have to do when you get home.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's about us speaking, you know, to organizations, businesses, families, everybody, saying, if we can help you to have a streamlined home and an organized area that you live in, this can enhance all factors of your life, you know, all parts of your life, your children's life, you know, because when it comes to looking after not only your children or your parents, you know, quite a lot of people who employ me are the sort of middle-aged who are dealing with children, but also, you know, the grandparents, and they're having to juggle everything. How do I manage all this? How do I get, but if it's been set up before, and as you say, you've gone in and sort of streamlined the house or got the house to a manageable level, then it's easier to cope with these sort of things. And I think I've spent a lot of time, many years actually, talking to people about how decluttering is not just about stuff. It's about your everything around that. So I think that, I mean, I have come across families where I've gone in and, you know, the woman has employed me and said, please don't let my husband know. Please don't be around when my husband's around. My husband doesn't understand why I can't organize this. But part of our we run a course at the University of Strathclyde, and we're actually going to run a course at the Glasgow Clyde College, and we do.
Should I pull the website up? Are we up there yet on the Glasgow College? Not yet.
No, it's not. They're not up on either of them yet.
We've got something else to advertise though. We'll let you guys know shortly.
Yeah.
But go, Elaine.
But in these courses that we run, we deconstruct the clutter or the chaos at one end, and we take it right the way back to why has it happened. And sometimes it's because of there's not been enough support in the house by the people who are living in the house. Also the kids are just running riot or whatever, you know, or you're dealing with a lot of external factors. And so it's looking at all that, and then how do we gradually take that on and move that through to start decluttering these things out of our life so that we can focus on the things that are important in our life, you know. And COVID has brought absolute sort of, you know, thing to the fore about family and people and, you know, the people around you and making sure everything's around, and cleanliness, you know, and all this has come to the forefront with COVID. And I think that especially in Scotland, in that we seem to be managing it quite well, but you know, it's just people are thinking more. So I think it's going to be easier for us as going for, I mean, this week, there's been some announcements about us possibly coming out of bits of lockdown. And obviously that has spurred people on to go, right, okay, I'm getting things sorted. So this week I've had 9 people ask me to come and do jobs. Now, I can't do them just now because I'm not allowed to. But we've had virtual organizing sessions, we've had virtual consultations. So I've got things set up so that the minute that we come out of this, I can go and help these people. But I think it's an interesting one. And I think I think sometimes women feel a bit of shame that because they're the so-called house, you know, homemaker, that they can't make that. And I feel that that's sad, that, you know, that's just sometimes, as we've said, that the brain is just not working in the right way. You know,
and there's always, and for me, a lot of the clients I seem to attract and seem to get are there are other mental health issues around there. Like what you were saying, that it's not just the clutter stuff, and that you go back to it. While I'm in the session, I often discover, because it's just one-to-one, especially I deal with a lot of, I work with a lot of locals in their bedrooms. So a lot of, young ladies who have lived in that bedroom since they were kids, and then they're grown up, gone to university, or, gone abroad or stayed here. Now they're grown up, they're still living in their childhood bedroom. So they need to declutter that and then, move on. And so it's different stages, but sometimes, while talking to them, I find out there's grief, there's abuse, there's just depression, not just depression, but there's depression, there's other mental health issues, and there's things that have happened to them that's affected them, and they don't know why and what, and they've just gone out shopping a lot. That's a big thing here, that people they're bored, or they've got things they're, bothering them, or other mental health issues, and they go shopping to try and compensate for that. So I will go to houses where there'll be, or bedrooms where it'll be just full of bags that have not been emptied, and like there'll be things, toiletries that have the best before dates have expired, like years ago. So there's always that kind of, so there's always something underlying, which is, and I thought it was more cultural thing here, but then from what you're saying, then it's obviously still, it's a global thing, it's a global issue still.
I think it's a human condition. I think it's a global issue, and that's why I think this series is so important. Thinking global, acting local, because I think everybody in the world struggles with stuff, because humanity, we have stuff that's part of our humanity, and it's how we use it. And as you say, we hold on to stuff for security, or we'll gather stuff for so many different life experiences and brain setups. And I find it fascinating, infuriating, all of the above. And it's why, we founded the charity in Scotland, Clutter Chat, which is bringing you this sort of broadcast now, because it really looks at the whole, we're looking at the research, we're looking at the whole issue, and we offer a sort of peer-to-peer support group, which really works in terms of kind of accelerating the empathy and getting that understanding, and people realizing that you're not the only one. And I think you're not the only one in Scotland, you're not the only one in the world. Exactly. Show me one country, one culture, one religion, one person who does not suffer from clutter. If any of the viewers out there can hand that to me without some sense of romanticization, that actually this is a person who does not suffer from clutter, I'll be overjoyed, and I'll have them on the show. I would absolutely, because I just don't think that person, I think we all have to handle it somehow. And we have another caller joining us on the line, and I know from Hong Kong, and she's a declutterer from Hong Kong. So far we've got Cayman Islands, Hong Kong, UAE. Next week we've got Mexico. And so I'm gonna keep going around the world until I find that decluttered, uncluttered person in place, and I don't think they exist.
Oh no, but there's the minimalists, right? But there was an article about minimalist, like,
are they happy? I just want to ask, are they happy?
It's an interesting one about when we're talking about gender, and sometimes when I talk to men, they always go, "Oh, my wife needs you, my wife needs you,"
all the time.
That's a classic, isn't it? But the interesting thing that I found is when I go in and I work with say the wife or the partner or whoever, and then they'll maybe appear back and they'll go, "Do you want to have a look at my shed? Do you want to see the shed?" And you go in and the shed's got like 5 tools attached the same. And I said, "Well, that is clutter. This is clutter." And, "Oh no, that's not clutter. That is essential things." And I'm like, "No, 15 sizes of the same. 15 sizes of the same screwdriver. It's actually clutter. Do you need 50?" And then they go, "All right." It's as if they've not looked at it like that. It's a strange one, and I always laugh. And I've had many laughs with guys who have said that, who have said, "My wife needs you," and I'm like, I think when I go in, I think I'll find a lot of your sports gear will be lying in a pile, or
Yeah, and the other thing now is trainers and trainer boxes. They will not get rid of them because supposedly they're valuable, even if 3,000 people have got the same pair. It's still worth thousands of dollars, supposedly. Oh, I love men here. And it's like, and it's a generational thing now. Like I always say, it's this whole stuff and people having too much stuff. It's because we grew up in the 80s, and the 80s was consumerism. Like the consumerism came up. Our parents didn't know how to deal with all this stuff coming in. We have just been buying, and then men have been buying trainers ever since the 80s. Thanks to Jordan. So they have millions of trainers, but it's that people don't think about, like I always talk about, I'm like, do you remember the 80s? When we started buying cassettes and records and then CDs and videos and DVDs and magazines. And then they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, you've got all of them. You've never got rid of them, have you? And you can see everything on digital now, so you don't need them. And they're like, oh yeah. So now people are starting to think about it. I mean, even my parents, I told them about Swedish death cleaning, and now it's finally hit them that they need to start decluttering.
Yeah.
Considering my job, it took them that book to get them to realize.
Yeah.
So after all this, it is hard. It is hard stuff. Can be really hard stuff going through your clutter, and but there are some things that you can do, because we're also, all three of us on the screen are doers, aren't we? We are can do, positive. We were probably all born that way. It's just how our makeup. Were we? I was born that way. Yeah. So it's just like we can see a space and know what fits in it. It's annoying to many of the viewers out there, but it just is as it is. But I know that Elaine and I have a few things coming up, and there's definitely courses online, and there's things that you can do. But Shelina, you've got your podcast. Are there, what sort of top tips do you have, or what things can people... Yeah, so what's out there? If any of what we've chatted about kind of touches a nerve or makes a point, then where can they go?
So my top tip always is to do a mini declutter. So never do anything, never take everything out. So never follow Marie Kondo with that. That's just bonkers. And I am very anti Marie Kondo, so I don't care. Sorry, it's on your show, but it's reality. But anyway, do a mini declutter. Take a section out. So take things from one bookshelf, or from your coffee table, and do it in front of, I always say, watch Netflix and declutter. So have the bin next to you, or the recycle bin, or whatever, and do it while you're watching TV, or watching Neighbours. Like, so if you're watching Neighbours or Home and Away, you can do that. So it's half an hour of your life doing that. And that is a more enjoyable experience than sitting there going, oh my God, I have to start clearing, and decluttering. Do it while you're doing something else, and it will be less mind-numbingly awful, or listen to music really loudly. So the mini declutter is my thing. And then if you do that every day, you can finish a whole area in a week, rather than overwhelming yourself. So
yeah. So the bite-sized chunks. I think we would all recommend that I think people think that they have to spend a full day doing something. I was doing my loft last week, and I was telling everybody I only do 2 hours, and then we stop, and that's it. And then we go back to another time for 2 hours, and then we stop, because you get absolutely bored stiff doing it. And session wise for clients, I do 3 hours, because we spend the first half hour in one, and the last half hour sort of starting the project and finishing the project. So the main thing is the 2 hours in the middle, which is concentrated, focused, active time. So I think a 3 hour session, well, that's why I work in it. And Clara and I work quite closely together sometimes on projects, and we do 3 hour sessions. And I think, because people just lose focus, and as you said, if you're someone who likes the music going, we always suggest that, put on your favorite music. And do it to that, so it makes it more pleasurable. Exactly. I agree.
It's funny, I do 4 hours and 8 hours, so 8 hours kills me. But
8 hours too long.
Whoa.
No.
But when you go to I go to Abu Dhabi or one of the other Emirates.
Fair enough.
And it's just traveling back and forth, especially now we have to take a test to go to Abu Dhabi. So to go to another city, I have to take the swab test every time. It's not fun. So, I don't want to go back and forth. So, and for them, they just want to get it done. So if we can, so it's certain areas, but like you said, they lose focus, they'll disappear. I'll just say, look, go away. Like, I'll come with me for the decluttering bit, and then I'll go make me a cup of tea, go get me food, whatever. I'll do everything, and then I'll just label it and explain everything to them. But yeah, it's funny, but yeah, people work differently. But it just, I mean, it's exhausting. It can. I'm dead by the end of it, especially if I have to drive back home for an hour.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, and it depends on the client as well. Like, if your clients they might not be able to take more than 2 or 3 hours, right?
Yes, yeah,
Meant to
yeah.
do, so.
Certainly people with health conditions, like even an hour can be too. It's people that are really struggling. But Elaine, would you like to tell people about our upcoming We Talk? And I shall share screen. We've got a couple of things. What did we need to mention? That? And was there another thing?
So, well, the most recent thing is that the week beginning the 22nd of March, we have Spring Clearing Week, which is an Abto-generated sort of thing, Spring Clearing Week. So during that week, Zem, Clara and I are doing a talk for a charity called the LEAP charity, which is the Lightburn Elderly Association project. So they, as you can see, it's coming up here on the screen. And they link with another charity, which is called Re-Evolve, which is further down, I think, Zem. It tells you a wee bit more. Oh, no, there it is. Re-Evolve's Recycling. So they're running workshops that week. So we're joining in. We're hoping to join in. And people who don't know us, they call us the Decluttering Dream Team because we're crazy. Anyway, so we are running a free session for an hour called How to Start Your Decluttering Project. So you can go on there you are, Zem's got it up, the Eventbrite website and register for a free session. And it's on Monday, the 22nd of March, and it's from 11 to 12. And Zem, Clara and I are going to run through a few top tips to help you start your decluttering project. So that's what we've got running there. We also have Elaine,
I think you can do that from anywhere in the world. So if you want to join us from the Cayman Islands, from Hong Kong, from Australia, from America, Mexico, next week we have Mexico coming in, you are more than welcome to join our little talk in Glasgow.
Yeah, you may be in your pajamas, but you can come. Yeah, you can come. That's okay.
We don't mind. We don't mind.
We don't mind.
You don't know if I'm wearing pajamas on under here, to be fair, do you?
Well, that's true. That's true. So that's that. So the LEAP charity and the Re-Evolve Recycling charity. So that's.
I'll pop them all in the references.
Yeah, and they'll all be in the references. And then in the spring, so further down in April, we were starting our course at the Glasgow Clyde College, which is a 6-week course. And we are running that, which will be launched, I think, this week. So we'll be able to give you the information about that next week. And then in the summer, we will be doing our University of Strathclyde course, which is the Chaos to Calm course in the summer. So we've got a few things coming up, but we will let you know near the time. So that's that. That's us.
It's not Calm to Chaos course. Might be Calm to Chaos for us, but Chaos to Calm for the people.
Yeah, well, the University of Strathclyde one's moving from chaos to calm, and as I said, that's when we sort of deconstruct and take you back and then bring you forward. So it's a useful course if you're struggling or overwhelmed with your decluttering project.
And there are also lots of other courses and books and resources out there, and we'll be here again next week and the week after, able to take any questions. And this is, as I said, being brought to you by the Clutter charity, and our sort of mission is to sort of spread the good decluttering word, to kind of decrease the shame and to give sort of support and emotional support. And how we do that is through regular, well, when we're allowed, face-to-face meetups, but they're also happening on Zoom. And these are volunteer run and peer-led, and you can just join for a small donation a month, so they're not dear to attend. And there's a book group running in it, and we have talks coming up. So you can find all the information on the clutterchat.co.uk website as well. And feel free to donate. We really don't say no to any donations via PayPal. You're more than welcome. We have go on, Elaine.
We've also got Shelina's podcast that we need to start tuning into, I think, to hear.
Listening already?
I I think I might have downloaded you at one point. I think I need to get.
Thanks.
Yeah, but it was no good, was it, Elaine? It was rubbish. So you thought,
no. I need to be
Right,
on the ball a
I'm
bit
gonna go
more,
now.
so I will
I can't
definitely.
get up because I'm wearing shorts, but I'm gonna go in a minute.
well, Shelina, you can't go. We'll put a link to Shelina's podcast. You can't go until I sing you happy birthday.
Oh no!
Because
we're too close. I'm too close to that number 45 now.
shh, because it was Shelina's birthday yesterday, everybody. And one of my things we have to celebrate. We have to celebrate women. We have to celebrate ourselves. We have to celebrate everything. So I don't care if people don't want to hear me. I'm going to put myself on speakerview and I'm going to sing Shelina even, happy birthday.
Okay.
And please join in, viewers, if you want to join in, because then wish everybody a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shelina. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Oh my God. That's so lovely.
Yeah, sorry about that, Shelina, but we can't stop her when she starts to singing. She sings everywhere. It's just one of those.
I can't believe you didn't do it. I wanted to hear it with a Scottish accent. How obsessed I am.
Well,
have a very happy birthday. Have a very happy birthday.
Singing's not easy. You can't do it on Zoom together, and also Elaine's not such a singer. I don't know.
Pop singer. I'm more a pop singer.
But I've got a decluttering story on singing. So I've been running decluttering workshops for quite a long time, and about 7 years ago, I had someone come to my workshop, and it's the most loveliest story. So she comes along, and then I just start singing in the lunch break and like doing my normal sort of singing business. And she's like, "Oh, that's really lovely." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a member of a community choir in Glasgow, Govan Hill Voices." And she says, "Oh, I think I might come along." She comes along, she meets a man, they move in together and get married.
Oh, no, it was all your fault.
I know. I tell you what, you never guys know what's going to happen when you attend a decluttering workshop.
Exactly.
Never know what's going to happen. But she realised that she was all right with her stuff. She just needed to sing.
Oh, that's sweet.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So maybe I should start singing to get a man.
You could do. Yeah, more than welcome.
My car listens to me. That's about it. And my cats.
There was just one more thing I wanted to ask you, Shelina. When people are moving back and forward from different countries, and I know that you probably do that quite a lot, is there advice that you could give them? Because I had recently a friend who moved to China, and we had to look at packing up our stuff into specific bags, and then other people were moving, and I'm moving somebody down south, and there's the problem with COVID and moving. So, what is your advice if you're moving, you're expat or you're going back or forward? What's the sort of?
So it's different if you're going to become an expat from repatriation back. So I find with people moving out, they either bring too much with no understanding of what it's going to be like. So they don't read up properly about it, or don't talk to, don't join Facebook groups. There's lots of Facebook groups about moving and expats, so it's always good to join them to find out more information about the new country you're moving to, any restrictions, what they have there, what you can buy. So if you're moving to, say, from the UK to here, or to Hong Kong or Singapore or Australia, they have everything. We have, here we have everything. We have everything from America, Australia, and the UK. So it's only things that you really, really need, that you love using, that you won't get here, that you bring with you. Otherwise, you just bring your clothes and stuff. But some people bring like a massive container of stuff, and then they either can't fit it in their home, or it just doesn't go, or you can't wear it. I've had clients from Canada. They've brought their big jackets, the Canada Goose jackets. Mm-hmm. Can't wear them here. You can't, and they're so huge. They weigh like a few kilos, you don't want to carry it on the plane and take it all the way with you back to Canada each time you go. That's a 16-hour flight. So, leave it in Canada, either with family or friends, or in a storage space, things like that. You leave in your home country if you're going to go back home. So there's a lot of that, think about where you're moving and do you need to take that much with you? And of course, like you said, China, there's certain restrictions on what you can take. So you have to be careful. You have to be knowledgeable about where you're going to. Repatriating back, as I said, the furniture, think about where you're moving to. So a lot of people don't know where they're moving to when they move back, or they can't get anything unless they've already got a property here at home that they bought. If you're renting, there's certain restrictions because you haven't got a credit rating. So you can't, so people have to get Airbnb for a while before they can rent. So you have to think about that with bringing a container back. And do you need all that stuff? Because you most probably can get it at home cheaper or easily, from shops or online on Amazon. So that's the things to think about. And then, of course, if you're moving to the Middle East, you can't bring alcohol with you. So never put alcohol in your container because you'll get fined a lot of money. Just things like that.
Brilliant. Thanks. Yeah.
I talk about it on my podcast. So people can
there we
listen.
go. There's your link. Yeah.
There's my shameless link there.
That's good.
Declutter me on all your favorite podcast players.
Well, I've put your website link where you can find Shelina's podcast, and it's in the messages. I've just posted them all on the Clutter Chat charity web page or Facebook page. Elaine, do you know what we forgot to do? Is we forgot to decide our Power of 5.
Power of 5. Okay.
Can your brain come up with something very quickly?
Okay, our Power of 5, for anybody who doesn't know, every week we do a Power of 5. It is, do I really need this? Or, oops, nearly pulled my laptop over there. Do I really want this? Okay, so as we reach forward for our things, I'm thinking possibly on Shelina's topic of wardrobes, that maybe we could look at clothing today. So is it 5 minutes decluttering a drawer or your wardrobe? Or is there 5 things that you could get rid of and put them at the moment into the clothing banks, because we can't put them to the charity shops, but to the clothing banks we can, that you could take 5 items out of your cupboard to put that you're not using anymore into those bags. So 5 minute decluttering your wardrobe or drawers, or 5 things that you can remove to the clothing bank or donate on to somebody else.
Thank you very much. And I totally forgot to ask a question. We had a question coming in from Barhead in Glasgow asking how much do we on average recycle? So I'm going to throw that question out there to the world. If anyone knows in their country or in their place how much the average person recycles. I think Shelina says that in Dubai it's pretty rubbish.
They're only now starting to recycle more. So we've got bins. I'm conscious of it. So I actually bought a new bin which has separate sections because we have to separate it. It's not like my parents where they just put it all in one box. Because we said there's a postcode. I didn't realize it's a postcode thing. Like my parents have got it easy. They just put all of it into one box. But some people have different, you have to separate it, right?
Postcode lottery in the UK. I mean, so I'm going to just send this question out to the world. Along with try and finding me a decluttered person, one. A decluttered country, maybe. Second, the third question is what is the percentage of people who recycle, or the percentage of stuff recycled in your country or in your area?
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Shelina Jokhiya of Declutter Me from Kent, living in Dubai.
With a Kent accent.
Yeah, with an Australian accent. So thanks. It was a really fascinating chat, all about women and all about around the world. And we have Elaine of Clear Mountain Decluttering and me, just Dr. Zem Moffat. And this was brought to you by the Clutter Chat charity, emanating from Glasgow, Scotland, broadcasting to the world. That's enough from me. Elaine, do you have, Shelina, would you like the last word? And then Elaine can lead us in a mindfulness moment to close the show.
No, I just want to say thank you very much for having me. It was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for coming into from your living room into our living room. So thank you very much. And it's been great that we've been able to have this because of well, not a nice thing that's happened in the world, but what it has done, it's opened the world up to other people. So, you know, we really appreciate you giving your time this evening with you and at mid-afternoon for us. So thank you so much.
No worries.
Elaine, do you want to lead us in a moment?
Yeah, I think today we might, if anybody's wanting to leave now, then that's fine. We hope to see you next week where we've got Nacho Eguiarte. Who is coming on from Mexico. So if you'd like to join us next week, he specialises in chronic disorganization. So if you know of anybody who might benefit from that, then please tune in next week to us. And we'll maybe finish on what we sometimes call box breathing, but I like to call it sort of like triangular breathing, because I think that in my mind, it works better. We're talking about that space thing. So it's when you breathe for 4, you hold for 4, and then you release for 4. And it's very good if you're feeling overwhelmed at any point. You can do it anywhere, just settling yourself down in the moment. And let's do about 3 rounds of that if you'd like to join us. And if not, we'll see you next week. Okay. So let's sit nicely and nice and tall in your chair with your feet on the floor if possible. And you can close your eyes or keep your eyes open. That's up to you. And we're just going to take a breath in for 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And release. 2, 3, 4. And again in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And release. 2, 3, 4. And last time, in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And release. 2, 3, 4. See you next week, everybody. Bye.